Good afternoon. I'm Jim Kirk, publisher and executive editor of Crain's Chicago Business. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our sponsored webcast, the Taiwan and U.S. Business Forum in the Midwest, Select Chicago, Select Taiwan. In partnership with the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Chicago, Crain's Content Studio hosted a series of webcasts featuring experts and thought leaders discussing the mutually beneficial industrial links between Taiwan and the Midwest. Our webcast today will focus on global supply chains, fasteners, hardware, and the auto industry. Before we kick things off, I would like to recognize and thank the sponsor of today's webcast, the Taiwan Bureau of Foreign Trade under the Ministry of Economic Affairs, the Taiwan External Trade Development Council, the Taiwan Trade Center Chicago, and the National Fastener Distributors Association. And finally, thank you to our webcast partner, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Chicago. And now I'm very pleased to introduce a terrific panel today to discuss this very relevant topic. First, Joe Nagle, Senior Manager of Strategic Sourcing and Customer Solutions of Lawson Products. Since joining the company in 2014, Joe has made significant contributions related to cost savings, best-in-class service, and strategic sourcing. In addition, Joe presented as a subject matter expert at a 2019 Procurement Policies Conference in Tainan, Taiwan. Also joining us today is John Najeski, Manager of Purchasing at Screws Industries, Inc. John has been in the fasteners industry for 25 years and importing of 20 of those years and has made numerous trips to Asia during that time. And finally, Doug Ruggles, President of Martin Fastening Solutions and immediate past president of the National Fasteners Distributors Association. Martin Fastening Solutions, headquartered in Florence, Alabama, has grown into one of the top 100 distribution supply companies in the U.S. Before we dive into our panel discussion, joining us to say a few words is Director General Johnson Sen Jeng from the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Chicago. Johnson Sen Jeng has been heading up Taiwan's main mission to serve the Midwest since January of this year. Prior to that, he served 2 years as Director General of European Affairs in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Taipei, and has spent more than 20 years in diplomatic service in both Taipei as well as Washington, D.C. Welcome, Director General Jeng.
Thank you, Jim, for your introduction. On behalf of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Chicago, I would like to express appreciation for your participation in this webcast on Taiwan's importance in the production and the export of fasteners and hardware in the automobile and other strategic industries, many with a strong presence in the U.S. Midwest, and its role in the global supply chain, manufacturing high-quality fasteners and hardware for over 60 years. Taiwan has always been a stable supplier of these products to a variety of industries worldwide. As the world's second-largest exporter of iron and steel fasteners, it is then no wonder that Taiwan is called the Kingdom of Screws. Last year, Taiwan exported 1.36 million tons of fasteners worth $3.99 billion US dollars, comprising 15.94% of the global market, building a comprehensive supply chain to American businesses ranging from automobiles to the medical and aerospace industries. Some Taiwan companies such as Sumco for automotive fasteners, Sanxin FastTech for both automotive and aerospace fasteners, and Chenyun Biotech for medical fasteners are among the world's leading manufacturers and fastener industry suppliers. We are glad to have a panelist from the U.S. fastener industry on today's webcast who are familiar with Taiwanese fastener companies and the product lines. Two based in Metro Chicago, and a third with locations in Indiana and Ohio. It should be no surprise that the U.S. is Taiwan's top market for fasteners, purchasing nearly 45% of our fastener exports, or 609,000 tons valued at $1.69 billion US dollars last year. The second-ranked exporter of fasteners to U.S. is Germany at 8.55%, followed by the Netherlands at almost 5%. Taiwan supplies fasteners and hardware to industries that are strategic to the United States. Therefore, intellectual property rights protection is of utmost importance, as well as quality control, customization, and reliable and speedy production and delivery. We believe that U.S. customers and partners appreciate these characteristics of Taiwanese companies and find Taiwan's open, democratic ecosystem compatible in upholding IPR protections, fair trade practices, and human rights. They know the values shared by the U.S. and Taiwan from the foundation to best serve customers and grow businesses that benefit all stakeholders. In addition, after many years refining technology related to fasteners and hardware that have supported traditional industries, such as the automobile and aerospace fields, Taiwanese companies have innovated and changed along with their customers. So, as the big three automakers move toward electric vehicles, EV, Taiwan's customers take advantage of our well-developed industry clusters of manufacturers and their expertise to order specialty products customized to U.S. buyers' evolving needs. In the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, the challenge for all businesses, particularly those making fasteners and key components for safe, reliable, and efficient appliances and products, is to safeguard quality, maintain inventories, and keep up with production demands and delivery while addressing risks all along the supply chain that disrupt business and the global economy. With the COVID-19 vaccines available, but not so readily to most of the world's people, some states and countries have relaxed restrictions and opened up, freeing consumers to shop, dine, gather, and travel more widely. In the US, there's pent-up demand for cars and other modes of transportation. Now, we are well aware of the microchip shortage that plagues the auto industry. So there is also increased demand for medical equipment and devices, for which fasteners are needed. As more people see doctors and specialists and schedule long-delayed procedures, Taiwan's fastener and hardware businesses contribute to many industries, such as the automobile, aerospace, and the medical industries that manufacture their vital products in Chicago, Illinois, and the U.S. Midwest, and distribute them throughout the United States, Taiwan's most like-minded partner. We encourage Taiwan businesses to cooperate and plant roots in the Windy City, the Prairie State, and all the Midwest states that make up America's heartland to advance our mutual interests and share the values of democracy, freedom, and human rights. Finally, let me express my appreciation to Jim Kirk of Crane Chicago Business for moderating this event in our previous two webcasts in the Taiwan-U.S. Business Forum in the Midwest series. I hope you enjoyed today's webcast and will venture out to explore business opportunities between Taiwan and the U.S. Thank you.
I thank you very much, Director General Zhang. And now let's get started. Again, welcome and thank you all for joining us. I'm going to jump right in with questions for you all related to our topics on fasteners, hardware, and the auto industry. First off, when it comes to product components, Taiwan produces, most headlines have been focused on the microchips, but fasteners produced by Taiwan are equally critical to a vast array of products across many industries. Taiwan is the world's second largest exporter of fasteners, and nearly 45% of those fasteners are imported into the United States. In fact, several large companies in Taiwan produce fasteners specifically for the aerospace, automotive, and medical industries. I wonder if each of you can describe to our audience why Taiwan's fastener industry is so important to U.S. manufacturers and to the Midwest in particular. Doug, do you want to kick us off on that one?
Sure, be happy to, Jim, and thank you. I appreciate you guys having us here today. When you think about why people are buying from Taiwan, there's a couple of things that come to mind immediately, and it's the quality of the products that are made. And it's not just one-time quality, it's the consistency of that quality time after time after time. And when you look at importing products, that's the thing you have to have, is the surety of what you're getting is going to be consistent. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing that came across in my mind with that question.
Yeah, Joe, and then I might be able to add a little bit more color to it. I know that at least on Lawson's side as a distributor, what we noticed was as soon as Section 301 tariffs went into effect, we really utilized Taiwan for a lower cost country because of that lower total cost of ownership. So I think when you look at the Midwest and just the amount of manufacturers that are located in the Midwest, like the Caterpillars, John Deere's, even the RV industry, that's up around 34% compared to last year. We really rely on that product to keep our country moving. So, yeah, thank you.
John, do you want to weigh in?
As far as, the different industries, I think, the Chicago area is great for the entire Midwest. We're right here. We're a day away from being able to get product to Ohio, Michigan, northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the entire area. Here, we're also a manufacturer, and being able to import and manufacture domestically has greatly, improved. I think from a quality standpoint, our quality is the same, both, coming from Taiwan and from here. So,
right.
You guys have talked all about quality and consistency, both kind of hallmarks of what we're seeing in terms of this equipment from Taiwan. How important is that? Just the consistency and quality aspect of it, so that I'm guessing, so you're not having to kind of recreate the wheel each time and go after another manufacturer somewhere else. Is that really what we're talking about here? Doug, do you want to kind of add to it?
Absolutely. I think that is the thing. Everybody has to manage their cost, especially here in the U.S. The number of employees that manufacturers, distributors have to source today is less than it used to be. So when you have less capacity, you have less time to be able to do that research, to look at different suppliers or different manufacturers, to check their quality processes, to check their machinery, to understand who they are and are they going to be there year after year. So absolutely.
Joe, same for Lawson as well?
Exactly. Yep.
And same for us too.
Yeah. Imagine it just helps tremendously in the whole process. So total U.S. import of fasteners from Taiwan are down about 4.68% compared to April 2020. But meanwhile, total U.S. imports from Taiwan are up 11.5%. What do you guys think needs to happen for Taiwan's fastener exports to in the U.S. to start growing again? Doug, do you see any? I mean, is this really looking perhaps mainly at a supply chain issue, or are there other things that could jumpstart that growth once again?
Yeah, it's an interesting statistic, Jim, that you talked about there. Of overall imports are up, but the fastener part of it is down. And that's probably related to the supply chain issues, I would think. I would be interested to know more of what products had increased, because if you got a decrease of them, and knowing the amount of fasteners that are involved and components overall, because I know they do much more than just a threaded product.
Right.
But so I would say our experience has shown that this is probably just a supply chain issue and not a shift away from Taiwan at all.
Got it. John, any thoughts to add there?
I feel about the same way as Doug does. I would say that possibly, with the disruptions to the supply chain right now, as far as the delays of getting everything here, could be leading to some of that. A lot of customers are going back to domestic manufacturers right now due to those delays in the supply chain. Unfortunately, a year ago our lead times were 22 to 24 weeks. Right now you're at 30 to 40 week lead times, and that's
Wow.
That's for a lot of people. A lot of industries cannot wait that amount of time to get product.
Right.
So there
Joe?
probably is, just adding to that, is there's probably some gap buys domestically, is what John was talking about, trying to fill that need. But as all of us in this industry know, that the U.S. manufacturing just does not have the capacity to fill the complete needs. And Taiwan is that valued partner. And it's not just the manufacturer of the product, it's the heat treaters and the platers and all the secondary processes that are happening as well.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe just to add a little bit to it, I know at least on Lawson side through distribution, we have increased our level of spot buys from local distribution. And while that is temporarily impacting our imports from Taiwan, we're still expediting product from Taiwan to keep those relationships solid, keep those machines running. The goal is to dual source this product, and it's not a all or nothing type of approach.
Right.
And I think just looking at the percentages, from Lawson's standpoint, we're buying mostly commoditized product. And I think even with some of the reasons why it might be up is for more of that private labeled product, maybe higher IP type product like the chips and things. So that's just a little bit more feedback.
That's great. And just a kind of a quick aside, how are you guys experiencing the supply chain issues right now? Are you seeing that? Are you seeing some easing up of that, or is it still pretty much what we've seen for the past few months?
Getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, and I think it's also affecting cash on hand, because the more material you have on the water, you're just chewing through working capital. So yeah. I think we're all excited to start talking about other things than supply chain, but it's just the world we live in, and we need to be flexible. So that's what the spot buys have been doing for us.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it seems like every conversation with any CEO or C-suite person, it's all about the supply chain at this point. But you guys talked a lot about it, maintaining the relationship with the Taiwanese partners on these components, just because I'm assuming that they fill such a crucial need. Is that why keeping the communication wide open is so important?
I think it also goes around allocation. So if you do try to go to a local source and you try to buy up 200% of what you bought last year, that's not in the cards, unfortunately. So you need to continue having that second source of supply available.
Right.
Yes.
I agree. The only thing I'll add to that is that we've had domestic suppliers tell us that they have more business than they can produce. And if you're looking to supplement domestically for what you've been importing, they're not interested in the business.
Got it.
So then you have to look at, how am I going to get the parts? And is that your air freighting or your speedboat, whatever you can do to get them, that's what you're trying to do.
Right.
Exactly. I would agree with that.
Great. The Fastener Taiwan trade show has been a key player in bringing fastener manufacturers and customers together for more than 20 years. The show is coming back in a hybrid in-person and online fashion in April of 2022. The show expects 400 exhibitors and 1,000 booths. How important is this show for the industry, and what would you like to see in terms of its evolution next year, especially in after sort of the time away that we've all experienced. Joe and John, I know you both attended the show in the past. Can you speak to this?
Yeah, I know, at least from my standpoint, I really miss my friends in Taiwan. I really miss the street food in Taiwan specifically. I have my stands in Kaohsiung that I frequent, quite a bit. But going back to the show, it's just such a great opportunity for Lawson to have those negotiations, have those partnership type meetings, and also to see what else is out there in terms of product categories. So I know that the pandemic has brought its challenges with travel, but Lawson is really looking forward to that show. If travel allows, we'll be there in person. If it's a hybrid, we're going to participate either way. And I think for those in the audience, I would strongly encourage you to do the same. If that's going to be your first show, this is a great opportunity. And working through Tatra, they're willing to connect suppliers with customers. So I would leverage that as a resource.
Right. Agree with that.
Yep, I would agree 100% with that. It's the same thing here. It's good to be able to sit down with our partners overseas and have face-to-face meetings. The pandemic's kind of made us all find new ways to do our business, but I still feel the face-to-face is the most important part of how we import, how we, negotiate any issues and problems, and being able to walk the show, see new products and, new lines that are out there. It's very important to keep up and stay ahead of, of the game.
Yeah, I would agree, John. The thought that when you were talking about that came to mind is, I know at Martin, we've implemented a lot of change over the last year and a half. And so attending the show, my anticipation would be that manufacturers, while they had time, they're in Taiwan, they invested a lot and they changed a lot and they've added capacity. And what we want to see is, what is that? And there's no substitute for that face-to-face.
Right, exactly.
That is, it's part of our culture, is interacting and that relationship, so that when you need it, you can pick up the phone or you can shoot them a text or an email. And even though our time differences are off, a lot of them will answer and will help you out.
Oh, exactly. Very much so. We do that quite, I'm on the phone constantly at night, or they're calling me, or, either way, we are having a conversation to keep everything moving forward, so we're not having issues down the road.
Right.
And is that face-to-face time at the show? Is it really just trying to get to know the partner that much better, so that when you do have those calls, you understand the personality a little better, and there's a little more trust there? Is that what you're building with actually attending in the show?
Yes, exactly. And I think even working through Tatra and identifying suppliers ahead of the show, we're able to send out RFQs prior to the show and receive responses back, and actually negotiate the total cost of ownership at those conferences to really make use of our time.
So you're getting a lot of business done, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're not just collecting brochures. It's a let's get things done and make the trip worthwhile.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, the 2020 show that was canceled, was going to be my first one there, and the Tatra organization had helped facilitate that through the NFDA. And it was one of the benefits that they passed along. They had some supplements that they were willing to help for first-time attendees.
That's great.
So that's exactly what I was looking forward to at that time.
Terrific.
I'll treat you to some street food in April, Doug.
We'll do that.
Great.
Definitely.
Terrific. Taiwan has been known as a fastener manufacturing powerhouse for more than 60 years, earning it the nickname the Kingdom of Screws. That underscores Taiwan's role in hardware supply. How critical is Taiwan to hardware retailers in the U.S. who sell screws, nuts, bolts, and other fasteners to builders and consumers? John, do you want to kick us off with that?
In our business model, we don't really get involved in the selling to the hardware stores direct. Okay. So this might be better for, not sure.
For
Joe, get into that business.
Yeah, and I can speak specifically to maybe a different play on the question, and I'm not sure if the audience knows, but there's a requirement called TAA compliant, and that is the Trade Agreements Act that was established way back in 1970, and Taiwan is compliant with that. And so Lawson Products has a substantial amount of government business, and those products allow Lawson to achieve a lower cost and more competitive cost on those bids. So that's how I kind of approach this question. And I think it's a key selling feature for the Taiwan manufacturers that may not be emphasized enough today.
But as important as when from the beginning of the trade agreement, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Let's talk a minute about some of Taiwan's specific strengths in fastener manufacturing. It's known for well-developed industry clusters, for instance. How important is it for, say, auto manufacturers to have a cluster of suppliers in Taiwan dedicated specifically to their needs? Obviously, you guys can speak to specifically to your needs, but really these industry clusters seem to be key. A key way that Taiwan has really produced its manufacturing to really cover the markets that they're focused on. Doug, do you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, I think the thing that comes to mind is that the ability to work with multiple suppliers in a geographic area is what you get from that cluster. So if there's expertise, then you're able to work with multiple suppliers. They each have their own key advantage, if you will, and that helps lower our cost, the speed at which, because most people when they're there, maybe 2 weeks at the most, some for less. I know when I visited there, it's been 4-7 days before going to other countries or trying to work through that. But so being able to be super efficient is the number one thing that you want to try and do.
Right, because when we do travel, and we are able to travel again, usually you spend about 7 to 10 days in Taiwan, and that's probably where 90% of our fastener spend is from Taiwan.
Right.
You want to be able to try to hit every supplier. So you might be seeing 2 to 3 to 4 factories a day throughout that period to try to, visit everybody, get everything worked out, meet everybody, see the new factories that you're working with, and make sure everything, everything's to our liking as far as quality and the presentation of the factory.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll add maybe just a little bit more to it. I participated in one of the fastener clusters that was hosted by Tatra back in 2017, and I remember meeting in a hotel conference room, and I had about 10 meetings over a 5 or 6 hour time period, and it was extremely beneficial to have such a concentration of qualified suppliers that you can negotiate with and really establish those relationships. And kind of to Doug and John's point, it's of those suppliers that you're interested in, which ones do you actually want to visit and start auditing and start taking the next step with? So those clusters are critical.
Great. Taiwan is also known for having a large capacity for manufacturing customized fasteners. How important is that capability for manufacturing clients in the Midwest and beyond? I imagine, given the specialty markets that a number of companies are in, has to be vitally important. Joe, John, you want to start that off?
My feeling there is that I would say, once again, probably 50% of our items are considered special per print PPAP items. So I would say that it's very important that, you're finding these factories that's what they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to buy a special item from a manufacturer that just does standard parts, but they'll say they can do the specials. And there is quite a bit of that does go on, and you have to kind of look through and really watch. Everybody will tell you they're a manufacturer.
Right.
It's once you get there and you're like, you're not a manufacturer, you're a trader.
Right.
And you have to kind of work through those differences on special items particularly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just adding to it, the importance of quality, on-time delivery, we sometimes take those for assumptions. We assume that, like, we're in the day of age where if you're not meeting those, you probably won't be in business very long. So what we're noticing in Taiwan is that more and more manufacturers are willing to engage in strategic terms like improved Incoterms, growth rebates. Some of the different programs that we have in place with the U.S. manufacturers, we're now starting to see move into Taiwan. So that's above and beyond the quality and on-time delivery.
Mm-hmm. Doug, anything to add there?
No, I think they nailed it. It is what we look for, and it's always over the years to watch, as John was talking about, the companies mentioned traders that start out as traders but end up being manufacturers, and they have a certain expertise in an area, and to watch their maturation, to watch their families grow, and become part of your extended family, if you will, of supply base. And you guys are all trying to do the same thing, and that's supply our customers with quality products on time at the total lowest cost.
Right. And we've talked about the high quality of fasteners coming out of Taiwan. Is that focus on quality control and on-time delivery a key reason why so many manufacturers are relying on suppliers in Taiwan? And have we seen that quality move up the spectrum as demand for higher quality products continues?
I believe so. Over the years, we've seen that and a lot of what we do, probably as John mentioned, probably 50% customized products made to print. And the manufacturers that we used to get standards from, and then they added specials and they dropped standards because they couldn't make any money at them, is an interesting maturation process to watch and be part of.
Joe, anything to add there?
No, I think the team did a great job.
Yeah.
I have to fully agree with Doug on everything you just said.
Great.
Thank you, John.
So Illinois is one of the top 5 states importing fasteners from Taiwan, along with Michigan and Ohio in the Midwest, and California and Texas in the Southwest. What's your outlook on the partnership between Illinois manufacturers in particular and the fastener producers of Taiwan, and how can they best evolve to meet our needs?
Yeah, I think even as a Chicagoan, I saw just a couple months ago that there was a massive news announcement regarding Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Transportation about a $20 billion project in the infrastructure. So I think of that project, almost 8 million miles of square feet of bridge are going to need to be repaired. So I think there's just this massive demand that's going to be needed over the next 6 years. And we're going to need as much capacity as possible through U.S.-based manufacturers as well as folks in Taiwan.
Great. Doug, anything to add there?
Well, we're a Midwest Southeastern based company, so I don't have as much knowledge of Illinois, but I know a lot of the manufacturers that are there that we work with. And as we said earlier, the capacity to meet the demand is just not there from the U.S., and we have to supplement that which has been going on. This is nothing new.
Right.
And I think everyone will grow together. I don't see it being an either or.
Great. John, any thoughts?
Just, the same things as far as capacity goes in the U.S. Manufacturing in the U.S. I think is almost maxed out, if not beyond capacity.
Sure.
I think, a lot of what I think we're all going to be looking for is what we can do to get back to more normal lead times coming from, from Taiwan that have jumped almost 20 weeks in the past year. So, I mean, that would help out a lot on a lot of different capacity levels, both, I think, here and in Taiwan, as if somehow we can get back to a more normal life.
Right. All right. We have time for one more question. We're going to make it a fun question. And I'm told all of you have been to Taiwan. I'd like to hear about one unique experience there from each of you from your time there. I think we'll kick it off with Joe. If it's anything else besides the food, or the food, but that would be great.
Yes, the food aside, which is one of my favorites. I had such a cool experience at one of these fastener shows in Taiwan where we had just finished negotiating on one of the product lines, and the factory owner was at the show, and he said, "Joe, do you want to come right now and go to the factory, and I'll take you, and I'll give you kind of the red carpet tour." And we literally left the show in his car and drove directly to the factory and saw and got the full tour from the owner, and that was just such a cool experience that you can't have at one of these Vegas shows, for example. Yeah. And so you feel how passionate the owners are about what they're doing, and it makes you passionate about what you do. So that was a really cool experience that I had.
That's great.
Right.
John, any?
Just the same things, at the show, you when you meet up with somebody and there is that connection, they're more than willing to take you right then and there, but they're also more than willing to take you out, show you the culture, do just a little bit of sightseeing, see some of the places around like Kaohsiung that are, famously known. Can spend a couple hours just trying to do that, just to refocus your mind and keep everything straight of what's going on. So just the hospitality of everyone that you're visiting with is so much more than what you're used to going to, like the Vegas show. Because the Vegas show, it's just like, "Hi, how you doing? Okay, gotta go. Bye. See you later."
Right.
That is
and Doug, I know you haven't been to the show, but you've been to Taiwan before?
Oh, I've been to several times. The thing that stood out, the first time I was there visiting with a supplier, and my hometown in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, was talking to the owner of a manufacturing plant that we buy some product with, and he said, "Where are you from?" Because our fastener business unit is in Tennessee, and I told him Muscle Shoals, Alabama. He said, "Oh yeah, I've been there." And I said, "What?" He said, "Oh yeah, I stayed at the Holiday Inn, on Woodward Avenue." And I said, "Okay."
That's great.
Really surprised me to go other side of the world, and he's been there. So
that's great.
But I agree. The hospitality is the thing I miss the most is connecting with the people, getting that energy from them, collaborating. The digital works, but it's only a supplement. You need that interaction and the face-to-face and looking at the machines, seeing how they're running, seeing how their quality control works, doing those audits like Joe said. There's no substitute for that.
Yeah. Completely agree. And can't wait for all of us to get together again.
All right.
That's all the time we have, guys. Great conversation. So thanks again to Doug Ruggles, Joe Nagle, and John Nageski for joining us today for that terrific conversation. Now I'd like to introduce Stuart Green of the Taiwan Trade Center Chicago, who will be giving a short presentation on the fastener industry. and the Fastener Taiwan Trade Show coming up this spring. Stuart, take it away.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, this is Stuart Green, and welcome to the Taiwan Trade Center Chicago's presentation on the fastener industry in Taiwan. So first, I wanted to go over some facts and figures on the fastener industry in Taiwan. Then we're going to talk about the 2022 Fastener Taiwan Show, and then the 2021 Taiwan Hardware Show. And then we have a special message from the president of Lu Chu Sin Yi, Carl Tsai. So Taiwan is renowned for over 60 years of fastener manufacturing history. It has always been a stable supplier in the fastener industry, earning the reputation as the Kingdom of Screws. It's a unique industrial cluster that synergizes every facet of the fastener-related supply chain and allows products to gain a great popularity throughout the world. Their prompt delivery, excellent quality, and competitive functionality is much desired by many fastener wholesalers and manufacturers. What allows for this are some of the strengths of Taiwan's fastener industry. It all starts with the well-developed industry clusters, which leads into all-inclusive fastener products being able to be manufactured. This allows for customized capacity with strict control and excellent quality guidelines throughout the industry, and prompt delivery is a major aspect of the fastener industry as a whole. Of all the fasteners that are exported throughout the world, Taiwan produces 15.94% of them. That is about 1.36 million tons of fasteners exported worldwide, worth about $4 billion US. Of all those fasteners that are exported, about 44.7% of them reach US soil. So that means the US imports the most Taiwanese fasteners in the world, and that's worth about 1.69 billion US dollars, or 609,000 tons of fasteners every year. And the United States is a critical trade partner for Taiwan, representing many of their fasteners on the world stage by using them in so many of our finished goods. There are three separate fastener industrial clusters within Taiwan. As in the north, there is a large automotive and electronic manufacturing sector, so they have their own fastener industry cluster in the north. Many of the machines that make all the goods throughout Taiwan are made in the center. So there is a fastener machine foraging cluster within the middle of the island. And then in the south is the main fastener industry cluster. Here's a little bit more of a detailed map surrounding the Kaohsiung area where the main fastener industry cluster is. These are specialists in automotive, aerospace, and medical fasteners. They can offer unlimited customization and being able to service any need that you might have, and is backed by years of industrial experience. So I have some of the pictures of the logos of the companies that support this part of the Kaohsiung industrial cluster. Now, here's a better example of how this industrial cluster also makes them masters of supply chain integration. If you say you're a company that produces fasteners here in the United States, companies on the upstream or peripheral side of this supply chain might be able to assist you in supplying wire or forming machines. Or if you're somebody who is a wholesaler or importer of fasteners, the fasteners agents or transportation companies would be more of someone who could assist you in bringing in the fasteners you need for your customers. I'd like to talk about the 2022 Fastener Taiwan Show. Fastener Taiwan will take place at the Kaohsiung Exhibition Center, April 19th to the 21st of 2022. This is Asia's #2 and the world's #3 fastener exhibition and has been held biannually since 2010. Fastener Taiwan will show off the latest patented fasteners, inspection equipment, and forging machinery of all the products that I had listed there below. It is 30 minutes away from the Kaohsiung Industrial Cluster, which gives you the ability to visit fastener manufacturing facilities and gives all potential buyers an opportunity for a one-stop purchasing service. Some other features of the show will be the Global Fastener Summit, one-on-one procurement meetings, the fastener exhibition itself, and a welcome dinner. The show venue is the Kaohsiung Exhibition Center. It's over 10,000 square meters of exhibition space, and it has an anticipated 430 plus visitors exhibitors every single year, with 1,150 booths at the 2022 show. This is some attendance data from the 2018 show. About 7% of the attendees came from the United States and rounded out a very international show for the year. Below are some of the companies that attended internationally. And as well, we would like to thank some of the US buyers that participate regularly in the Fastener Taiwan show. We always appreciate our American partners who support the fastener industry in Taiwan. Now, as everybody knows, fasteners would not be able to be properly applied without the right hand tools. So I'd like to talk about the Taiwan Hardware Show. It takes place from October 13th to 15th of 2021 at the Taichung International Exhibition Center. This show has an annual visitor count of around 23,000 every single year. There are over 400 exhibitors that come, and a stat that I think is important is the 86% rebooking rate. This really shows off the high availability of hand tools there, and as well the connections that are made year after year between suppliers and buyers. So now that we've heard about the value of the fastener industry in Taiwan and the related trade shows, I have a message from the president of Lu Chu Shen Yi, Carl Tsai, who's a great example of a top fastener supplier in Taiwan.
Hi everybody, I'm Carl Tsai from Taiwan Lu Shen Yi Works. Thank you Taitra for giving me this opportunity to talking about the current status and the future development of the Taiwan fastener industry. First, let us recap the fastener making in Taiwan. Starting around 1960s, Taiwan launched the fastener industry. It developed quickly and received great support from the United States. In 1990s and 2000s, India and China joined the market, creating more competition and causing the product's price drop down quickly. To survive, the Taiwan fastener industry began to evolve starting in 2000s. Take Lu Shu for example. Let us go around the company meal. Lu Shu began to introduce more value-added products and advance the manufacturing process as well as improving our efficiency. We now make a fastener with a higher precision and more complication, doubling the manufacturing process steps to create the finished goods. These fasteners served automobiles, aviation, aerospace, green power, and the semiconductor industry, in addition to our original customers from the machinery, building, householding items, and the petroleum industry. To improve the manufacturing efficiency and precision, numerous types of sales feedback control equipment and the process automation system are introduced to the fastener making industry. Furthermore, advanced optical quality control tools have been adapted to ensure the product's quality. The whole supply chain has advanced accordingly. Our customers' needs are fulfilled and the customer partnerships are established between customer and the Lu Shu Shen Yi. Like us, several Taiwan fastener makers are able to succeed in this transformation. Looking forward to future development, we are not only focused on manufacturing, but also will be more conscious about environmental impacts. And to strengthen labor relations, we believe that from raw material to finished products, from labor, employers, and the clients are all in the same circle, all connect to each other. The entire ecosystem and the user need to fastener and the supply chain. need to work hand in hand. Finally, I would like to say thank you again and hope we can meet in person in the near future. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Carl. So to conclude, I'd like to remind you that Fastener Taiwan takes place April 19th through the 21st of 2022. Taiwan is a critical link in the global fastener supply chain, with many companies across the supply chain in Taiwan being here to assist American manufacturers with any need they may have. And the cooperation between Taiwan and the USA is critical to maintaining trade balance worldwide. Thank you. And now back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Stuart. I hope everyone enjoyed our webcast today. Thank you again to our sponsors, the Taiwan Bureau of Foreign Trade under the Ministry of Economic Affairs, the Taiwan External Trade Development Council, the Taiwan Trade Center Chicago, and the National Fastener Distributors Association. And finally, thank you to the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Chicago for making this program possible. Please look on our webcast archive page on chicagobusiness.com for the other webcasts under this series, including Global Supply Chains, Chips and Innovation in Global Supply Chains, AI, and the Health and Fitness Industry. And you can always stay connected with us by visiting chicagobusiness.com for up-to-date news and insights. Thank you all for tuning in today. Stay well and enjoy the rest of your day.